What's up guys, Artem MMA Analysis here, going to be talking about UFC 275, really excited for this card. It's going to be taking place in Singapore, and also if you guys don't know, just before I get into my quick breakdown, as always this is my first time looking at the card. I haven't done any research, mainly because I've actually been researching Road to UFC. If you guys don't know anything about Road to UFC, it's taking place on the Thursday and the Friday before the UFC 275 card, and it's a tournament, the first round of a tournament between some Asian fighters. The winner of the tournament gets a UFC contract, and it seems like most people don't necessarily know that it's going on, so just letting you guys know and making you guys aware, there's actually more UFC fights going on this week, Thursday and Friday, before the UFC 275. Now let's just get straight into it. As always, sponsored by BetUS. Get a 125% sign up bonus using my link below. So let's just get straight into it. Jake Matthews versus Andre Fialho. I'm going to be going with Andre Fialho. I love Andre Fialho. I love his attitude as well. The guy made his debut only 4 months ago against Mikael Pahea. He's fought twice since then. He knocked out Miguel Baeza. He knocked out Cameron Van Camp. And now he's going to be fighting again. I just love this guy's attitude. I like the fact that he's fighting so often. And if you guys know me, if you guys have been following my channel, I like to follow people that fight often. That's why I'm a big fan of Andre Fialho. If you fight often, if you fight multiple times a year, I'm automatically a fan of you because it's just so much easier to follow someone when you're fighting this often. And on the other hand, Jake Matthews from Australia. I'm from New Zealand, so somewhat of a bias towards Jake Matthews, but I am going to be going with Andre here. I mean, he hasn't fought for about a year and 2 months, but even then his losses to Sean Brady, who's a really good grappler. He beat Diego Sanchez, he beat a couple other guys. He started Rostam Ekman's massive losing streak as well. Rostam Ekman, I think, is like 6-5 at the moment, man. But Andre Fialho, I think he's going to want to keep the fight on the feet. Really good boxer. That's kind of his go-to. He does throw kicks every now and then, but he's definitely more of a boxer. He's also got a pretty good jiu-jitsu game. Not as good as Jake Matthews in my opinion though, but I'll be going with Fialho to get the KO on this one here. I think he's a really good fighter, and I think it's probably going to be a little bit higher up the card than it is here. Kyung Hyo Kang versus Danar Bakare. I think Danar Bakare bounces back. I know this is a short notice fight, relatively short notice for Danar Bakare, because Kyung Hyo Kang was meant to be fighting Simon Oliveira. Now we've got Danar Bakare stepping in, and I think Danar Bakare is going to get the KO, man. It's two fighters I'm picking to get the KO straight out of the bat. He lost to Chris Gutierrez only a month ago, which I guess is somewhat concerning. He's making a comeback really quickly, but hopefully he didn't take too much damage in that one, and he's made a quick turnaround. But he knocked out Brandon Davis in the first round, knocked out Kevin Natividad in the first round. I believe he knocked out Guido Canetti in the first round as well. So he went on a really good win streak there until he did get stopped by Chris Gutierrez. Kyung Hyo Kang, on the other hand, I mean, he just got really bad fight IQ in general. Like, he fought Rainer Yaya, and he lost to Rainer Yaya by decision. It wasn't the most impressive performance, but before that he hasn't been fighting for a long time. Not really the most active guy. Both guys are relatively old for the bantamweight division as well. Danar Bakare almost 33 years old, but I'm going to pick him to get a KO. I think Danar Bakare is going to get the job done inside the distance in this one here. Wu Choi versus Joshua Culibao. I like Wu Choi. Once again, Australian bias because I'm from New Zealand. I do like to support the guys from New Zealand and Australia, but I've got to pick Wu Choi. He's a really good fighter, man. He's also he also fought relatively recently against Alex Caceres. This is the fight where I think he actually dropped. No, he did. Yeah, did he drop Alex Caceres? I think it's actually he kneed Alex Caceres when Alex Caceres had one knee on the ground, kind of like Aljamain Sterling versus Piotr Jan, but like not as bad, I guess. And Alex Caceres bounced back and got the submission, so good for him, man. But for that, he knocked out Julian Erosa, and then he also beat Yusuf Zalal, which is a pretty good win in my opinion. And actually, it's a really good one, I think. And then he also beat Suman Mokhtarian, another Australian, a couple of years ago. But yeah, I think he should be able to beat Joshua Culibao. He hasn't fought for a while. He fought Shaila Nodebeki about 11 months ago. He's got a crazy record. I think he's also on this card as well. Drew with Charles Jourdain. Actually, pretty aging well, and then he lost to Yalan Turner. But Yalan Turner is really underrated in my opinion. But yeah, I'll be picking Wu Choi, I reckon, to win this one here. I know he's the favourite. Maybe Joshua Culibao could be a good dog. Maybe I'll look into it later. But speaking of dogs, I think Maheshate's the dog, man. Again, I'm going to be picking Maheshate to win. I picked Maheshate to lose against his opponent, the 7-0 opponent, which he beat on Dana White's Contender Series. And man, he showed a lot of heart in that fight. He showed a really good ability, just kind of a stick to a fight, even if he's down a little bit. And yeah, he really impressed me in that fight. Not the most impressive record in the UFC 6-1, but I think he should be good enough to beat Steve Garcia, who hasn't really impressed me too much. I mean, he did beat Charlie Ontiveros, but There's Charlie Ontiveros, man. You know, Charlie Ontiveros really didn't have the best UFC run at all, so I guess good for him on that one. He lost to Luis Pena, who's not in the UFC anymore, but yeah, I think we can see Maheshate pull it off. He's only 22 years old. I think I like this guy, you know. I like the fact that he's so young. He's also from China. The UFC's really trying to push the Chinese fighters as well, so I'll be going with Maheshate. I think he's going to be the underdog, and I'll go with him. Now, Ramona Pascual is fighting Jocelyn Edwards at bantamweight, and Ramona Pascual, I don't know if you guys saw her fight against Josia Nunes, but Ramona Pascual is huge. Like, she's pretty big, you know, like or maybe she just looks huge against Josia Nunes, because Nunes is like 5'1", but Ramona Pascual is going to have to make 135, so it will be interesting to see if she can do that. Jocelyn Edwards on a 2-fight losing streak to Jessica Rose Clark. Not really good loss, to be fair, and Carol Rosa, not too bad of a loss, I guess, but she has beaten Yanan Wu. That's a good looking win, and beat Pamela Gonzalez with a losing record on the regional scene, but is what it is, you know. I think that Jocelyn Edwards probably should be able to win this one, but Ramona Pascual didn't impress me much against Josia Nunes. I mean, at least she didn't get knocked out, but I mean, she's not the most active fighter in the world, and even then, as soon as you look up Ramona Pascual, she's on like a TED Talk, so I guess that's cool, but I think Edwards should probably win this one, but it's an interesting fight. I'm pretty confident in Brendan Allen to beat Jacob Malkoon in this one as well. I know another Australian fighter, I do like to support the Australian fighters, but Jacob Malkoon, he's got a good boxing game. He's also got a really good jiu-jitsu game as well. He's actually quite well-rounded. He's also shown some pretty good wrestling as well. But yeah, Jacob Malkoon, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, and good boxing is what I've noticed out of this guy. But he got knocked out by Phil Hawes really, really early into his UFC debut. But since then, he did beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan by decision, and then he beat AJ Dobson in a pretty impressive performance, in my opinion. I picked AJ Dobson to win that one. I think I also picked Razak Al Hassan to win too. So, hey man, Jacob Malkoon's been proving me wrong, but Brendan Allen's a really good prospect. Unfortunately, he did run into the prospect killer, which is Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis just kills all the prospects, man. He beat Phil Hawes, and then he beat Brendan Allen. And he bounced back, though. He did submit Sam Alvey 3 months ago, so I guess that's somewhat of a good win, a good turnaround. But he beat Punahele Soriano on the feet, and then got knocked out by Chris Curtis on the feet. Kind of a weird sort of fight, but Brendan Allen's pretty well-rounded himself. I think if he wants to keep it on the feet, he should probably have the advantage of that one, and if he wants to keep it on the ground as well. Brendan Allen's got pretty good ground game too. I think I might go with Allen, but I don't know about a KO submission or a decision at the moment, but I think Allen should probably win this fight here, to be honest. Maybe by a KO. I mean, Jacob Malkoon did get knocked out pretty badly. I'm going with Nali Yang, and I'm going to be going with Nali Yang to win this fight by armbar, because Savannah Homie Suarez in her 2 UFC fights, she lost by armbar to Lupita Godinez, she lost by armbar to Vanessa Demopoulos, and the Dragon Girl won by armbar over a couple of girls on the regional scene that aren't super high level, to be fair, but she's got armbar wins, you know what I mean. So I think that Nali should probably be able to exploit that weakness in Savannah Gomez Suarez's game. But she had that crazy fight with Ariana Carnelossi actually in her debut. I think that was Ariana Carnelossi's debut as well. It was kind of back and forth. It was actually quite insane, really. It was a crazy fight, but Savannah Gomez Suarez, I feel like she somewhat got exposed for not really having the greatest ground game. Nali Young does have a pretty good ground game, and I think that's probably where she'll get the fight, and I think she should win it by submission. I'll be going with Nali Young by submission on this one here. Now, we're already at the main card. I'm kind of upset now. We had so many fights for UFC 274. We've only got 12 fights for UFC 275. Like, come on, guys. I wish we had, like, one more fight. Like, one more. It doesn't matter. Just throw anyone on there. I want to see another fight. Because I think we recently lost Mike Diamond versus Ryan Kosuke, which sucks, man. But, hey, it is what it is. So we've got Jack Della Maddalena versus Ramzan Emeev. Ramzan Emeev, I don't really know too much about this guy. I know he's been in the UFC for a while, and he has won a lot of decisions. I don't know if he's got a finish in the UFC, but he hasn't got a finish, at least for a very long time. He beat David Zawada by a split decision, who I don't think's in the UFC anymore. He beat Nicholas Stolze by decision. He lost to split decision by Danny Roberts, so I don't know, maybe Ramzan Amiv's like one of those Russian grapplers that just always ends up in really close decisions. But Jack Della Maddalena, he's from Australia. I've got the Australian bias, which I've said before, even though I've been picking against Australian fighters. But I will be picking Jack Della Maddalena to win this one. I think he probably should get the finish as well. I mean, he did go to a decision with Ange Lusa, but Ange Lusa recently made his debut and he looked really good in my opinion. So he did lose. He did lose to Munir Lazzez, but I think he still looked pretty good. Pete Rodriguez, he knocked him out, but Pete Rodriguez jumped in on very short notice for that fight and made him look pretty good. But even then, on the regional scene, he has he's won quite a few against a few good regional guys in Australia. The truth is, there's not like a super big regional scene in Australia, but Eternal MMA I think is probably the pinnacle of the Australian regional scene, and he did well there. So I'll be going with Jack Maddalena. I think he probably should be able to get the KO. If Amiv's going to win, it probably will be a decision. I don't think he should be able to finish Jack Maddalena. And now moving on, we've got Manuel Carp versus Ruggiero Ponteran. And this is a really weird situation with Manuel Carp. I don't know if you guys know this, but I think his last fight, he was actually pulled from by not USADA. I think it was another drug testing agency, and they caught him for something against Yuri. I believe that was the case. I don't think it was USADA. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Carp, look, this isn't even me making it up. It's literally on Tapology. Carp tested positive for turinabol metabolite. Not really too sure what it is, but it sounds like maybe it's something that helps with the weight cut, potentially, if it's a metabolite. I'm not an expert, don't at me. But yeah, so I think that Carp's actually banned from fighting in Nevada for a bit. I need to research that before my breakdown, but yeah, Carp is he's probably on something. So I mean, I might be picking Carp for that reason. No, I'm picking Carp because I think he's really good. I think he's actually quite a good fighter. I just think he was thrown in the deep end, man. Like, he beat Kai Asakura a couple of years ago, and the UFC signed him. I was like, man, this guy is something special. And he threw him right in there with Alejandro Pantoja. Very close fight. Threw him right in there with Mateus Nicolau. Split decision loss. I think that Carp probably won that fight, let's be honest. But then after that, they threw him down a little bit. They gave him Ode Osborne, knocked him out with the flying knee, knocked out Zalgas and Magulov, and now he's fighting Ruggiero Ponteran, getting him into the rankings. And I think that Manuel Carp should win this one. Ruggiero Ponteran did lose this to Brandon Royval by split decision, but that was a close fight. I think maybe Brandon Royval probably did win that one, but he's got the win over Match Now, which is aging somewhat well, I guess you could say. I know Match Now hasn't won a fight in a while, but Match Now's a good fighter, you know what I mean? And yeah, he did lose. He got knocked out cold by Kai Kara France, actually. And with that being said, I'm going with Manuel Carp by KO. Let's go, Manuel Carp. I think that I'm a little bit disappointed with the main card. I mean, I love the top 3 fights. I don't really care too much for the Shevchenko fight, but I wish that we had just another big name on the card, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Moving on, we've got Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk fighting for a second time. This is a really exciting fight. I will be going with Weili Zhang to snap that losing streak that she's on right now, but the winner of this fight is going to probably fight for the title, and the winner of this fight is definitely going to win the title. There is no way either of these two girls loses to Carla Esparza. This may as well just be the title fight, to be honest, because if Weili Zhang beats Joanna, Weili Zhang is going to beat Carla Esparza without any problems whatsoever, and if Joanna beats Weili Zhang, Joanna is going to beat Carla Esparza without any problems whatsoever. So this is a title fight in my eyes. The winner of this fight has definitely been Carla Esparza, so yeah, I'll be going with Weili Zhang. I think Weili Zhang probably should win it. She won it the first time by split decision. That was her last win, actually. And Joanna Jedrzejczyk, that was her last fight. So Joanna hasn't fought since then. Interesting, she's taken a layoff. I don't really know how seriously she's been taking her training. I know recently she's been training pretty hard, but over the last couple of years, it seems like she's been holidaying a lot. I don't know if she's been really full-on training. I think she's just been kind of living the life of the money that she's earned in her career, which is good for her. I do respect it. I'm happy for her, but at the same time, when it comes to a title eliminator like this, it's just not necessarily what I want to be seeing. Weili Zhang, I know for a fact that she's been training hard. I mean, she had her title fight with Rose Namajunas. She lost that, got a rematch, was training really, really hard for that one too. Was training with Henry Cejudo for that one, and she lost a split decision to Rose Namajunas there. Yeah, man, pretty, she's been training hard, is my point, and I think that Weili Zhang's just been training hard for the longer period of time, so I'll be going Weili Zhang. I think that the fight probably will go the distance. It's only a 3-round fight, and I really wish it was 5 rounds. I really wish this was a 5-round fight, but it isn't, so, that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So Valentina Shevchenko versus Taila Santos. I feel like this fight, I don't know what the odds are, but I feel like they're going to be heavily swayed in favour of Valentina Shevchenko, but Taila Santos potentially could give her some problems. I mean, Valentina Shevchenko really isn't an exciting fighter, let's be honest. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, like, I don't really care for Valentina Shevchenko's fights too much, just because they don't really excite me. Like, they're super technical, but she doesn't do anything to make the fight super exciting. But Taila Santos, I mean, she submitted Joanna Wood after dropping her, went to decision with Roxanne Modafferi. I mean, like, she's on a win streak, I guess, but, like, I feel like maybe she's just one fight away from the title. I don't know if she should get the title shot straight away, but, I mean, she recently... Oh, God damn it, like, this is Shevchenko's legacy, guys. People call her the female GOAT. You cannot compare her to Amanda Nunes. She beat Lauren Murphy, Jessica Andrade, I guess it's somewhat of a good win, but Jennifer Maia, Caitlin Chookagian, and Liz Carmouche, that's her last 5 losses. Compare that to, 5 wins, I mean. Compare that to Amanda Nunes' last 5 wins. Like, it's just incomparable, but Shevchenko will win the fight, probably by a decision. Yeah, I guess it's alright. It is what it is. Now, Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. Yuri Prochazka's the favourite to win the fight. I respect it. I understand it. I'll be picking Yuri to win the fight. But if Glover Teixeira gets the fight to the ground, it might... I don't know. I don't think it's going to be all over, but I think it could be... it could get a lot more interesting than if it's on the feet. Because I feel like Yuri Prochazka, if the fight is on the feet, he's going to pick Glover apart. I mean, Glover Teixeira is going to be almost 43 years old come the fight time. He's not going to be fast on the feet. He may be super, super powerful, but he's not going to be as fast as Yuri Prochazka. He's probably not going to be as technical as Yuri Prochazka either. I think it's Yuri Prochazka's time, man. Glover Teixeira's got the grappling advantage all day, but Yuri Prochazka's striking is just so interesting. But one thing that Yuri does do that does scare me a little bit in this fight is he has his hands so low, like his hands are pretty much below his waist at times, you know what I mean? And he's kind of relying on his head movement. And even when he was fighting Volkan Oezdemir in his debut, Volkan Oezdemir didn't like touch him too badly, but you could see that Volkan Oezdemir was landing some shots. You know, he wasn't landing super hard shots, but he was landing shots. Dominic Reyes, kind of the same sort of thing. He had a much more impressive fight over Dominic Reyes than Volkan Oezdemir, in my opinion, but I like Yuri Prochazka to win, man. I think he really should get the KO over to Glover Teixeira, and I think it's probably going to happen in the first couple of rounds. I think Glover Teixeira, if he's going to submit Prochazka, it's probably going to be in like the first, second, or third round. If Prochazka is going to knock out Teixeira, it's going to be in the first or the second round, in my opinion. So I don't think this fight goes the distance. I would be quite surprised if it did, but I think Yuri Prochazka is going to knock out Glover Teixeira and be the new champion. And on top of that, I think that Yuri Prochazka is going to be a very, very long-standing champion. I think we're going to see Yuri Prochazka be the champion for a long time, so I'm excited to see it. I think this is the Yuri Prochazka era. He's not necessarily like a pay-per-view pull, but I feel like if he has a big performance over Glover Teixeira, a big KO, like a viral KO, I think that maybe Yuri Prochazka could definitely be like a pay-per-view pull. Maybe put him in the co-main event of the next heavyweight championship, you know what I mean? And just kind of build him up, because light heavyweights, you can't really put the light heavyweights below like a bantamweight title, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. Just traditionally, that's how it's been. But I like Yuri Prochazka to win. I think he's going to get a really cool KO. It's going to be very exciting. So, that's my picks for the card, man.